down as one of the best chairmen of the Federal Reserve in American history. His 18-year tenure was marked by unprecedented economic growth, budget surpluses, and a booming stock market. And he was praised universally for shepherding the economy through the shock of 9/11. Now he's written his memoir, The Age of Turbulence, which comes out just as he's coming under fire, something he's not used to, for today's housing and lending crises. His critics say he established a pattern of bailing out Wall Street investors. Greenspan sat down with us for his first major interview, defending himself against the criticism that he should have done something to stop the shady practices in subprime lending. In a rare admission, he told us he missed its significance. If you knew these practices were going on, and even maybe just suspected that there was something illegal or shady, why didn't you speak out?
Well, basically,
you had a huge megaphone. People really listened to Alan Greenspan.
Well, I was aware a lot of these practices were going on. I had no notion of how significant they had become until very late. I didn't really get it until very late in 2005 and 2006.
But others at the Fed did get it, that banks and mortgage companies had already signed up millions of home buyers and speculators, many with poor credit, for so-called subprime mortgages with complicated interest rate adjustments that have led to record numbers of defaults. Some of the practices were fraudulent. One of your former Fed governors, Ed Gramlich, said that he proposed that the Fed examine these lending practices and look into them to see if something could be done, and that you rejected that idea.
Well,
why did you reject it?
I thought that we would not be capable of doing what he was suggesting.
What, of sitting on them, taking some regulate, what?
Well, I think not.
Even if you even looked into it?
Well, there's nothing to look into particularly, because we knew that there was a number of such practices going on, but it's very difficult for banking regulators to deal with that. He
insists there's nothing he could have done to prevent today's plummeting home prices and the fact that 1 million families have lost their homes and many more could. But some economists now say Greenspan actually created the housing bubble and the credit crunch by keeping interest rates too low for too long.
Just remember, we raised interest rates at every meeting from June of 2004 till I got out of office.
You raised rates in 2004, but only after you held interest rates at historically low levels for 3 years while the housing bubble was forming. And that you had 13 rate cuts in that period of time.
It was our job to unfreeze the American banking system if we wanted the economy to function. This required that we keep rates modestly low.
But some of the Fed governors who worked with you at the time are now saying that they think interest rates were too low for too long.
I think they are mistaken.
What this shows is how certain he is about his views and how firmly he guided the Fed when he was chairman and dealt with shocks to the financial markets by quickly lowering interest rates. Now, in the current turmoil, investors are calling on his successor, Ben Bernanke, to do what Greenspan would have done. The sense is you would have acted sooner. You would have thrown more cash and liquidity into the system. You would have acted faster and more dramatically.
I'm not sure that's true, and let me tell you why. We were dealing in an environment back there where inflation was easing, so we could move sooner without the fear of stoking inflationary pressures. You can't do that anymore, and therefore it's a different world. I'm not certain that I would have done anything different were I there or...
So you don't think you would have acted any faster?
I doubt it.
So you don't see any light between you and what Mr. Bernanke is doing?
I think he's doing an excellent job.
The CEOs of Ford and Chrysler are begging the Fed to lower rates. I mean, on their hands and knees.
I would suggest that they focus on creating better cars for their customers.